Hello again. We are Southeastern 14. I am joined by my usual sidekick, Blake Lovell, and we've got a new and special guest today. She's Rory Whetstone. She's a student at the University of Missouri. Rory is going to be joining us frequently for basketball and baseball this coming season. This is her debut on our podcast. Rory, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I'm excited to get started.
Chris, let me add this real quick, okay? So what we're doing is, like, we're going to have people all across the SEC, right, Chris? We're getting some people. We brought some people onto our staff, and Rory is one of those that we've kind of added to our staff just to kind of help us out and, cover more stuff. And specifically with baseball season around the corner and, basketball, lots going on. Yeah, like it's fun to talk to people who are there. And we always say that, Chris, you and I are at games at different places before, and it's just like, it's nice to have people at these games. And so that's kind of what we're doing here. So for all of our subscribers out there, you've had our usual coverage, just me and Chris talking all the time. And boy, we know how much you love that. But we're going to try to give you some more voices as well. So that's why we are excited to have Rory. And as we said, we'll have people at other places around the SEC. We'll talk to them just as correspondents throughout the rest of basketball season, into baseball season, hopefully into football season. So that's kind of what we're doing here.
Boy, you really know how to sell our brand there, Blake.
I that's all I do. I'm the marketer of the group. So
right.
Yeah, like we're gonna have Rory. She's gonna be marketing all kinds of stuff for us soon. Like I'm gonna send her all kinds of sponsorship. We're just gonna it's gonna be great. So
well, Rory, in all seriousness, you are in Columbia for Missouri's big win over Iowa State. What was it like being in the building? What were the things that you took away from that one?
It was a great game, and the energy from the crowd was very evident, I would say. And I really think it helped Missouri keep that lead throughout the entire second half. I mean, Iowa State only led for, I want to say, like 45 seconds of that game. Yeah. Like, it was a really impressive game. They forced 19 turnovers for Iowa State, which Iowa State doesn't give up easily, and it ended up being a season high for them. And the threes from Mizzou, like, it was just constant, and it was great to watch. And when Mizzou starts to play like that and they hit those baskets, they're like, I think they're unbeatable at that point. And I think it's going to make them a team for March, and they're going to be in the tournament. But I don't know. I thought it was a great game. And it's good to see Mosley kind of step into his role because he wasn't playing much. And now he's a dominant force with Hodge and Brown. But I would still say my one concern for them is their rebounding. They can't rebound. It's just Kobe Brown. And like, I think that's where they struggle the most, defensively and offensively. They don't grab any rebounds.
Chris, for me to have my 2 cents on that, because we've been talking about this rebounding thing
for a while.
Yeah, they're struggling. Like and this is what worries me. We talk about like the tournament, right? And I agree. Like, I think we've kind of mentioned this. I think they're going to be fine. I think they get to the tournament because I think this was a big step to beat Iowa State, because that just gives you. I mean, Chris, that's probably their best win to this point, right? Wouldn't you say? I mean, just based on
that's team? Illinois would have been, but now I think it's this one.
I think it's this one
for sure.
But again, it's the defense, which I think is getting better, because again, they just gave up 61 points, and how many turnovers they forced. That's what we talked about coming into this game. Missouri forced a lot of turnovers. Iowa State forced a lot of turnovers. They couldn't do that as much here. Missouri won the turnover battle. But let me tell you this. This is the stat that stands out. Chris, we've talked about this. I don't know if you realized it. Do you know what Missouri is shooting from three in their last 2 games?
Oh, it's probably close.
Got to be above 50%.
They are 30 for 60 in their last 2 games from 3. That is nuts. They 16 of 30 against Ole Miss, 14 of 30 against Iowa State. How about that?
Their game at Ole Miss was Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, it brings up the SEC's 3-point percentage by like 5 points just on its own right there. We had an episode this morning. We talked about how horrible the league is at shooting threes. But anyway, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say their game at Ole Miss, they set a season high. It was just one after another after another. And it was awesome. Like, personally, it was awesome.
It's wild. I'm looking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's the 11th time now this season they've hit double-digit threes in a game, Chris. So, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and the rebounding thing, Rory, I want to ask you, because you're there and you see it a lot. I feel like some of that is they are getting out so quickly in transition.
That's the
and
other thing.
Buckets, yes.
Yeah, there's that, and it's almost like they full court press most of the entire game, but you don't see them like crash the rim after they shoot. They kind of get ready to go back and defend, and it's like when I was playing basketball all of middle school, and our coaches are like, all right, you can't just watch the ball. Like you kind of like almost sometimes you get that sense, but it's also them like transitioning back because they do press like pretty frequently. But I don't know. I'd like to see more than just Kobe Brown going up for second chances because they give up so many second chance points to other teams. I think they gave up like 17 to Iowa State, which is like a third of their total points. And I don't know. I think it could just help them further on.
Here's an interesting note too, Chris. Think about the rotation they run, especially now with Mosley back. All right? Because if you add Isaiah Mosley back to the mix, he's 6'5", right? Well, Demoy Hodges out there. Nick Honor's out there. I mean, you can't think. I mean, Nick Honor, our guy. Like, you can't take this guy out. He's the point guard. He's the leader on the floor. So you've got 5'10", 6'4", 6'5". Kobe Brown's out there, 6'8". There's 4 of your 5. It's like, I mean, you're probably talking Sean East, Aiden Shaw, maybe, but it's more, or actually Trey Gomillion, who hasn't played the last couple games. 6'3" and 6'4" right there. So it's like, I think that's part of it. It's just the fact that they're just smaller than most of the teams they play. Mm-hmm. And because they're out there basically playing 4 guards, if you really think about it. Because even DeAndre Golston, he's 6'5" too, right? So that's kind of the thing. And that's where, like, we've mentioned this, Chris. Like, Diarra coming in, playing more minutes. He's not going to be someone that's going to give you, I don't think, 15 minutes a game or anything the rest of the way, but he's at least 6'10", right? And he can give you a little more size. But for the most part, I think having Mosley back in the mix, I'm not saying like you're going to play Isaiah Mosley. Like, you're not just going to say, we need a few more rebounds. Let's just throw him to the side. No, but it's one of those things where, like, that's just how they play, I think. And like Rory said, you're getting out. You're just going and going and going. Yeah, you're giving up some rebounds, but at the same time, we got to come up with a trademark for this trio of Mosley, Brown, and Hodge here. But it sounds like a law firm. But we got to come up with something because, like, that's just how they play. So I think that the height is part of the reason why they're just not probably rebounding as well either. So,
well, and you've seen too, Diarra has played more. He played 30 minutes total in the pre-conference portion. I feel like some nights you're going to see him. It's like Eric Musselman has done with Arkansas. We talked last year about how you'd see a guy who wouldn't play much at all for 5 games, and then he'd play 20 minutes one night when Arkansas really needed a particular part. Rory, I'm just wondering if that is – you don't want to mess with what's working, right? Mm-hmm. But you have that issue, and Diarra was, I think, the number 2 JUCO recruit in the country. He's the biggest guy they've got. He's played well at times recently when I'm using him. I'm very curious as to how Dennis Gates is going to use him going forward.
I think that's a good question, and I think he came in. I was glad to see that he was able to take up a role when Kobe Brown went out with that ankle injury. And no, he's not Kobe Brown, so you saw Mizzou suffer against Alabama in like that respect. But he has gotten more minutes since then, and he does kind of become the big man. And I do think that they should use him more because now that he's kind of in the groove and he is making a difference when he's on the court. But also, again, you don't want to mess with what's working when you have Hodge and Brown out there and Mosley and Honor and like Honor from the 3. I mean, he's a great point guard, but from the 3, like every time he gets the ball, he pops it and he makes it. Like the 5 of them out there, and especially the 4 of them, are just electric to watch.
Chris, I'm looking at the upcoming schedule here, and Rory and many others in Columbia are going to be treated to 2 very interesting home games coming up here against LSU and South Carolina. No, probably not. I don't think should be the most.
Not very interesting. We mean not interesting at all.
Well, yes, you know how this works.
We'll take it. Yeah,
I mean, yeah. I think. Look, it's 2 games Missouri should win. Now we talk about the road games they have coming up. They're at Mississippi State. They're at Tennessee. They're at Auburn. So I think you start to look ahead, and I don't know if we really went this in depth yet on Missouri's schedule because, we've kind of talked about all the other stuff, but they've played the toughest part of their schedule now. Like they're pretty much through it after the Iowa State game. Now, again, I'm not saying, of course, at Tennessee, at Auburn's going to be tough. At Mississippi State will be tough. But I think just that stretch, remember, that goes all the way back to Kansas. Like that was December the 10th. Really, throughout that entire stretch, I would say Ole Miss is the only team they played that was not good. Like, can be good, if that makes sense. I mean, everybody else, it's really been, they've played good competition. So I'm here's the thing, like when we say this, it's all about avoiding the bad losses for Missouri. And now we look at this and we're like, okay, they've done it to this point. They've avoided bad losses. But now it's like, well, yeah, okay, you've got a good win against Iowa State. Don't lose LSU. Don't lose to South Carolina. They still got Georgia. They still got LSU again. They still got Ole Miss again. They're going to be favorites in all those games. And so I think if they just take care of business the rest of the way, and the way they're playing right now, again, with the law firm back intact here, I just think that, I mean, how about this, Chris? We made our bets, right, on Texas A&M. We said right now we think A&M is going to be just fine. They're going to get in the tournament. Missouri's ahead of A&M when it comes to the tournament resume right now. I think if you had to place your bet right now, after the Iowa State game, how good this team can be offensively, even though they may still have some deficiency defensively and rebounding. Like, my bet as the Dennis Gates aficionado of the show, for my client Dennis Gates, I think they're going to be fine, and that's just my thoughts on it.
No, I agree with that.
For me. Go ahead.
Yeah.
No, I was just going to say the same. I agree with that. I guess I wish some of their games, like against Mississippi State and Auburn, and were at home, because I say, not that they're a different team when they play at home, but I would say the energy of the crowd definitely, it definitely does make an impact. But I think if they continue to play the way that they are right now, the rest of their home games, I don't want to say are going to be a breeze, because I don't want to be the one person that jinxes them. But it's now their conference they have to play against, which can get tough, but I have a lot of faith in them that they can keep up what they're doing, especially if they're making the shots that they are, that they're going to be a force to reckon with.
I'm trying to think. I think you brought up the pertinent point, which is at this point, they just need to avoid bad losses, because you look at the resume that they've got, and let me pull this up here for a minute. You've got the win over Illinois. You've got the win over Kentucky, the win over Iowa State. They've started to assemble a nice portfolio of good wins. Not the best, but it's probably 8 seed worthy-ish right now, somewhere in that range. Arkansas being another one too. The thing that stood out to me, I don't think they've lost a game outside of Quad 1 yet, have they?
3-5, Quad 1. They got a clean sheet everywhere else Yeah.
So the danger spots would be in that regard, LSU at home, South Carolina at home. I wouldn't call Mississippi State at home if it were to happen a bad loss, but it's not one you want to take. There's really not a lot of other opportunities on this. Well, Ole Miss at home. That would be the
last 3 games. Even the Georgia and LSU, though, are not. Those are away. So
yeah, and Georgia might end up being a Quad 2 loss if that happens. LSU, I don't know what that would be at this point or by the point they get there. But the point I'm making is they're almost to the point, it seems like to me, like you just avoid the bad losses, which they've done a good job of doing. Pick up a win somewhere else, maybe Texas A&M at home, somebody like that. I'll go there. I guess there aren't a lot of opportunities for huge wins. Auburn on the road would be another one. Tennessee on the road would be another one, although that's going to be a really tough get. But point is, I think Missouri's almost to the point, just win the games you're supposed to win. It's hard to see them missing the tournament, Rory.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I was thinking, and I totally agree with you. Because as long as they can keep up what they're doing, I mean, they just can't get sloppy. They just can't let themselves think, all right, we're in the tournament, like everything's fine now. You got to keep up the same intensity. You got to play the same way. And then I think they'd be fine.
Yep. I mean, it's, hey, Dennis Gates, Chris, you know my thoughts on him. I've made it very clear from the start. Rory may not know the background, but look, I mean, Dennis Gates, my guy, my client. He's just look, Chris, I said I said, look, I don't think he's getting enough credit. Missouri fans initially were not thrilled with the hire, but you and I, we came into the season, we looked at this roster, we said, like, I don't know if they're going to be, you know, NCAA tournament worthy, but if you're looking for a sleeper team in the SEC, if you just look at the roster, Missouri's the team, because you just, and look, I said, I didn't think they'd be 16-5 right now. Don't get me wrong. I thought they'd be better than people thought, but I didn't think they'd be 16-5. And so credit to him, credit to, again, now maybe having everybody back in the fold. Of course, once they get Trago Million back, man, they're deep. They can score. And we keep saying sometimes in these matchups, and you and I went the opposite direction, Chris. We're like, hey, maybe we take the defensive team in Iowa State over the offensive team in Missouri. But we just keep saying that about Missouri sometimes, and they just find a way to outscore people. And the defense stepped up. When they can do that, they have both going. They're a top 4 team in the SEC, and that's where we have them this week in our power rankings. So,
Rory, the thing that you need to know about Blake Lovell is this.
Oh, here we go.
Blake is usually understated and humble.
Oh boy!
But there's a gloating side of Blake, and there's a memory side of Blake too. And I will predict that at some point in March, we will have the gloating Blake Lovell special, during which he will bring up tweets that people said disparaging things about.
I've got one right now. If you want one.
Oh, see, he's proving my point, and I bet you we will have a show that will be. In part dedicated to Blake getting to gloat over being right about Dennis Gates. And you know what? When we do, I hope you were here for it, because that'll make it all the more fun.
I'm a huge Dennis Gates fan. I love him. I think what he's brought to the team is great. And at the beginning, like coming into the school year and the season, whatever you want to say, like people were definitely doubting him. They thought maybe we'd be an NIT team at best. Like, I don't think I do think some people thought we would be here, but I don't think anybody really thought we'd be as good as we are. But I think what he's brought to this program is great. And I laugh when he does post-game interviews and he's like, we haven't played a good game yet. Like, we haven't played a good game. And it's harsh to see as like a fan, but I also do think it motivates his players. And then like after the game against Iowa State, he was hyping up the fan section. He was proud to see what Kobe Brown did, like to have there were alumni at the game because they were sporting the big retro jerseys with the big M. Like, he was energetic, and that was a lot of fun to see.
I mean, I have no response, because I mean, this is what I expected, right? Like, what do I say, Chris? That's exactly what I expect from my guy Dennis.
You'll have plenty to say. I got to say this too: the throwback uniforms Saturday were.
Yeah.
2 thumbs
I
up.
love them. I want one so badly. Yeah. They're clean. Yeah. They're nice.
So, Chris, you know Sam Snelling, of course, who does the Rockin' Nation stuff. Matt Harris, his co-host, he put out like a thread or something on Saturday, like with all the old like Big 8 jerseys, like Missouri, all their old jerseys. And like he's sending like links to eBay. Like apparently people are like selling these on eBay. And like I looked at one of them, like, I want that. So, like, I have that on my eBay wish list right now. So, how about this, Chris? How about this? Missouri makes the NCAA tournament. For our preview, we're going to have all of us together here. All right? I'm going to wear the Missouri throwback jersey while we preview the game. Okay? And if they win, then I'm just going to, like, I'm still going to wear it. Don't worry. It'll still be on. But, like, you know, I think I'm going the rest of the tournament just wearing that for everything we do. So
I think that's a great idea.
I'll shower in between, but like, and I'll wash it, but like I'm still gonna wear it. So that's the goal. So
thanks for clarifying there.
I just want to make sure it's the internet. You never know.
Right. Well, unlike me, who wore the bag of shame for the NCAA tournament last year, but that's another story for another time.
Another story. And we'll get into that eventually.
Yeah. You'll probably see the bag of shame again, but hopefully not when Rory is on with us. Rory, if you want to give out social media or anything, it's your floor to do that. And of course, you'll be on with us plenty during basketball and baseball season, and we really look forward to that.
Thank you. Yeah, sure. Let me double check what my Twitter is, because off the top of my head, I don't know.
That's my answer too.
The Twitter's just Rory Whetstone 7, and I want to say my Instagram's the same thing, but it might be Rory.Whetstone 7. But otherwise, it's pretty consistent across the board on all platforms. So
is the 7 for Dansby Swanson, or
it is not? I love it now. I played soccer my entire life, and I had 7. And my dad used to always, because we're big Blackhawks fans in my family. So he used to always call me Seabrook. So 7 from then on just stuck. And then Dansby Swanson coming over, I loved it. I was like, it's Dansby Swanson and his number 7. He's meant to be here.
Yeah.
And then I got his jersey for Christmas. I got to wear it one time. I should have worn it today. It's in my closet.
I brought that all on myself.
All right, Chris, let's cut this podcast off here right now, please. The 2 Braves fans here, we're not listening to that. All right, Rory, we appreciate you coming on for the first video. You're not coming on again. Like, that's it. So,
whoa.
No, we're just kidding. No, but in all seriousness, like what Chris said, as we mentioned earlier, Rory will join us a lot for other basketball stuff the rest of the season, baseball stuff especially. Yeah, we're excited about this because we've kind of brought on a lot of new people to our staff, and Rory's one of them. We'll have a lot more people on here. It's a lot of fun. And again, you get to hear other voices just beside us. And so, yeah, we're really looking forward to it.
Well, thank you so much.
Hopefully, yeah. And thank you. Hopefully the audience liked it. If you do hit the like button, hit the subscribe button too.
If you're a Braves fan, hit the like button.
If you're a Braves fan, hit the like button just because, oh, come on. We're losing control here. But in any case, do those things. That'll help us out, and that'll help us help you a little bit more. For Rory Whetstone, Blake Lovell, I'm Chris Lee. We are Southeastern 14. We'll see you again soon.